What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Apollo Justice. Well, Apollo is trying to defend Mr. Wright, but he's not doing a very great job at it right now, so we're gonna try to see if we can help him through this and hopefully, get this turned around. Justice, maybe you can come up with a more legitimate objection? But he hasn't lost it 7 years! Take it from me, kid. It happens. I didn't lose a case my first 7 years as prosecutor either. Incidentally, I have some evidence here. Where's my stylus? Ugh, need to grab a stylus. These are the poker chips as they lay the very moment of the crime. The hand and chips on this side belong to the defendant, Mr. Wright. These are the far side those on the far side belong to the victim, Mr. Smith. Chips, you say? Yes! Imagine that poker is war. Your hand is your army, and the chips are the spoils. Oh, I know that. After all, in my youth, I was known as the poker head of courtroom number 3. I think he means poker face. Sorry. Looking at this picture, it does seem that most of the chips are on the victim's side of the table. Very well, the defense may cross-examine the witness. Let's do it then. I think I'm allowed to press on everything, so... You were dealing cards. Do you do this often? I am doing this. If customer wishes it, I serve anything. Borscht, cards, more borscht. It is my work. It's good to hear a place that hasn't forgotten the meaning of service. Welcome you to Borscht Bowl Club, where borscht is as warm as the waitresses. Thank you for not handing out flyers during the cross-examination. It's already April. How could it be cold? At the Borscht Bowl Club, we have pride on authentic rustic Russian restaurant theme. Outside, it is city in spring, but inside, it is always as cold as Mother Russia. No way am I going there. When it comes to hot borscht, cold is best seasoning, da? Oh, goodness. His locket. I believe it was good luck charm, yeah? He gripped it many times as he played that night. Yes, he must have felt as though it might carry him to the moon and the stars. Though if it was small enough to fit around his neck, it wouldn't have much lift. The defense would like a clarification. This is a locket we're talking about. I mean, a pendant with the picture in it, right? Not a rocket. Oh, of course! I knew that! It was probably a pendant shaped like a rocket. That's why she called it that. No, a locket's a locket. It's considered bad form to poke fun at the hard of hearing in our society. Hard of hearing, or hard of understanding? So, what happened next? Something terrible? Eh! The defense will refrain from needless shouting. Sorry. I need to seriously reconsider this vocal training thing. Now, Mr. O'Reilly. O'Reilly? Miss O'Reilly, can you tell us what happened? Oh, I was so frightened, I trembled with fear. But the defendant would never do such a thing. Well, now, I can't say I've ever heard the defense try this tactic. If possible, please, refrain from embarrassing me. Still, why would anyone do something like this over a game of poker? Perhaps it is because defendant has lost game. Yes, a crushing defeat for a man undefeated. So it always is with men like him. Winners make sore losers. Oh, how the mighty fall. Go ahead. I believe you know what it is you need to do. sir. Leave it to me. There were only 3 people in the room at the time of the murder. The victim, Shady Smith, Mr. Wright, and if Mr. Wright isn't the killer... I've got you now, O'Reilly. I don't know what to say about that. Jesus, I'm gonna go with O'Reilly. Olga O'Reilly? Or Olga O'Reilly? Anyway, we need to present the autopsy report here. Oh really? Strangled, you say? That's odd. Duh, normal customers only choke on Bosk. No, I mean this report shows that the victim died of a blow to the head. Ah! Miss O'Reilly, really now? Did you witness the crime? Ah! Nice catch? Damn. Looking at the picture, it doesn't seem like he was hit. He's still wearing his hat and everything. Yet, it is a fact that he was hit, Your Honor. Here's a photo we took of the victim with his hat off during our investigation. Well, that's quite shocking, isn't it? This head certainly was hit. But I've seen it happen. The defendant, he lunged at victim, his neck. Oh really, Miss O'Reilly? I think I've caught you in your own lie this time. Justice, I admire your enthusiasm, but perhaps you should think this through once more. What do you mean? I found a contradiction. There's one thing in her testimony that troubles me. Very well. It seems we should continue the cross-examination. There's such a thing as thinking too much. This horse is dead. Let's stop beating it. There's such things as thinking aloud too much, too. Anyway. Okay. So now we have to present somewhere else. Something I think we're presenting at the locket. He plays whole time with his hand on the locket at his neck. Alright, we need to present a photo here. Where's his locket? Excuse me. You know, there was one curious part in her testimony, just like Mr. Galvin said. But what does it mean? Mr. Justice, would you care to explain what it is you're thinking so intensely about? Recall the testimony, Your Honor. The victim played with his hand on locket at his neck, I believe she said. I hope you aren't about to raise an objection to the witness's grammar. No, but look at this photograph. Do you see a locket on the victim's neck? Well done, Justice. I'm impressed. I knew you'd be able to handle this. But what does it mean? If we are to believe this witness's testimony as is, then the locket disappeared following the victim's death. Lockets don't just disappear, Your Honor. It's quite simple when you think about it. If the locket is gone, someone must have taken it off, no? Taken it off? Wait, you don't mean... The defendant wasn't strangling the victim at all. He was taking off his locket. Wouldn't that explain it? Oh. Rubble. Well, then why would he take the locket off is the other thing. Defendant, what do you have to say about this? Say.
Yes?
I just noticed this, but... You have something hanging around your neck, don't you? Oh!
Oh? You mean this? Yes, it's a locket. With a photograph inside. A photo of my daughter.
Come again? Mr. Wright, you have a daughter? We confirmed it at the time of the arrest. The picture in the locket is indeed Mr. Wright's daughter. What? So Mr. Wright has a locket, too? Why don't I buy that this is just a coincidence? What the hell? Well now, if the results of this poker game led to the murder, perhaps we should hear a bit more about the outcome of the game. Further testimony won't really be necessary. It's clear the defendant lost. Badly. Miss O'Reilly, You will testify to the court about the game played between the victim and the defendant. Da. Serious competition. The game began with 3,500 points in chips for each man. House chips come in two sizes, small and large. The one who was winning, it was victim. For last hand, defendant play with all chips on table and lose. Moment loss was decided, defendant grabs bottle from table and... Indeed, looking at this picture, it does seem to be a one-sided game. As the court knows, poker was the defendant's life. Failure must have been a bitter pill to swallow. Oh, how many times have I heard those words? I done it in a fit of anger, Your Honor, and now I regret... a common tale, but true. He thinks the judge watches too many old court movies. Mr. Wright said he hasn't lost in 7 years, so this testimony must be wrong. Or he could have been lying, for goodness sake. Alright, what are we doing here? Alright, let's press on stuff. Are those the usual starting points? Were there any special rules used? No, not special. Usual game, usual rules. If each man began with 3,500 points, then the total would be, exactly 6, no 7,000 points. Please, this isn't calculus. It's not even long division. Christoph? I'm skipping over that. You're telling me that Mr. Wright, undefeated for 7 whole years, was losing? Yeah, it must have been most unlucky day for him. I'm glad I did not take other picture of him. It would break camera, certainly. The chips, they went always to victim's side of table. So you're telling us it was a one-sided game? One-sided and... Last hand? It was largest points of any hand. Defendant's hand, it was excellent. He tried to use it to take victory from behind. It appears that both the defendant and the victim's hand are in this picture. That is truly an excellent hand. However, so is the victim's. I don't know anything about poker, but I'm gonna just nod and grin on this. One with highest number wins, so defendant loses. The victim, Mr. Smith, had a stronger hand than the defendant and crushed him. I believe that explains what occurred next. Once card laid down on table, it happened. And what happened next? Even to think of it now, I shake and tremble, ja. I did not believe such thing would happen. What such thing? Please, you must believe. I had no idea. How could such thing occur? What such thing? Nyet. The defendant had been hitting victim. I saw it all happen right before me. I saw a bottle coming down on victim head. Decisive, isn't it, Your Honor? My witness saw the very moment of the crime. Remember, your first goal is to gather information. Yes, sir. Look out, contradiction. Here comes justice. I forgot he said that a lot. Alright, now we're gonna press on this. Whoop. Are the chips in this photo all the chips that were used? Of course. Something's fishy with these chips. Should I press harder? Yes. Maybe you could explain a bit about these chips? Ooh, maybe they don't add up to the amount they should be. Explain? What is there to be explained? Poker chips are poker chips. They're not fish and chips. Not a chip off the old block. Not a motorcycle cop. Thanks. Now that I've pressed her, I better ask something. What are these chips worth? Are they in dollars or rubles, even? Yeah. As I have been saying before, it was game, not gambling. Hard perhaps for capitalists to understand. 2 types of chips. 100 points chip and 1000 points chip. It is not money, da? Justice. Sir! Don't you find her comment Interesting. In more ways than one, sir. I'd have it added to our testimony myself. Well, does the defense want the witness to add to our testimony? Add to the testimony. Yes, I do think this deserves further scrutiny. Add it to the testimony. I wish I knew where I was going with this. Very well, witness, if you would be so kind. Your Honor. One kind of chip is worth 100 points. Other kind is worth 1,000. 2 kinds in all. Alright, let's present the chip photo. Objection! You're sure it was the victim who won? Absolutely sure. It seems our new attorney is a bit confused. A glance at the picture is enough to tell you who won, if you're not in kindergarten. Just for safety's sake, could you explain the problem to the court? Of course, Your Honor. In this photo, I see small chips and I see large chips. Tell me, which were worth 1,000 points? Why, the big ones, of course, duh! Oh, I thought so too, but then the totals don't add up. The totals? Let's review what the witness told us. Each man started with 3,500 points in chips, and the combined total value of the chips was 7,000 points. Yes, if my calculations are correct. Let's see, 3 plus 1, carry the 5. They are, Your Honor. Now, look at this photo that allegedly shows all the chips. If the big chips are worth 1,000 points and the small chips are worth 100, and you add them up, how much is it? Do it yourself. You aren't in kindergarten, are you? Oh! 10,600 points. The chips don't add up. This clearly contradicts the witness's testimony. I think this is announced the truth track, right? But why? How could this be? Exactly, Justice. Now that you know the what, you must determine the why. Right, there's only one possible way to explain this contradiction. Starting points were wrong, chips was wrong, they were both right. Each man began the game with 3,500 points. If all the chips are indeed shown in this photograph, then there can be only one answer. Well, what is it? The value of the chips was the other way around. What? Want to know what I think? The small chips were worth 1,000 points, not the big ones. Madness! Utter madness! Show me the photograph again of the chips. There are 6 small chips and 10 large chips. Why, that does make 7,000 points when you add them up. Excellent work, Justice. It's almost as though you figured it out by yourself. Well, I'm just glad I was the one who said it. But wait! The value of the chips may be different, but that changes nothing. Indeed, the victim did have the larger number of chips still. Oh! Exactly. If the small chips are 1,000 points and the large chips are 100, let's do a little math. Add up the points for each side of the table. Oh! The victim, Mr. Smith, had 2,900 points, and the defendant had 4,100 points. Well now, it seems that Mr. Wright was winning that night after all. That's impossible! My client had even less reason to kill the victim. After all, he was winning. Yeah! Now, Miss O'Reilly, you must have known the true value of the chips, since you were there at the scene of the crime. Weren't you? Oga! Order! It appears our defendant has lost his motive, and Mr. Wright's supposed defeat never happened. We must now ask ourselves whether we can trust... Excuse me, what is it, Miss O'Reilly? I did not want to be saying this, but... Actually, you see, See what, Miss O'Reilly? What do we see? In last hand, there was cheat. Cheat? A cheat? You don't mean a trick? Wait, or do you mean A scam! They're all the same thing. Yes, there was cheat in last hand. That is why game ends with chips as they are. Great, just great. First we have lying, now cheating. Well, this case certainly has taken a turn. For the interesting. Witness, you will please testify to the court. Tell us about this cheating in the final hand. I think the music's gonna pick up. Nope. Last hand, both men had full house. There is 4 of each card in deck from ace to king. If you look at both men's hand, cheat is more obvious. Next moment, game becomes argument. Duh! The defendant trick was exposed. He took bottle in his hand. Poor Mr. Smith. Miss O'Reilly, why did you not tell the court about this from the very beginning? Well, I thought I smelled a cover up there. Well, folks, it's time to throw back the covers. A full house is a very high-scoring hand. Not easy to make in my experience. That alone is enough to suspect less than scrupulous tactics. Mr. Galvin? What's a full house? Lawyers these days, you don't know your poker. Hey, I don't either. I don't play. I can't say this bodes well for your case or career. What is this, some kind of secret court poker ring? Justice. You know the term 1 pair, 2 pair, and 3 of a kind, yes? Yeah, no problem. 2 cards with the same number makes a pair, and 3 makes a 3 of a kind. Good. Now picture a hand with 1 pair and 1 3 of a kind. That's a full house. That doesn't sound very easy to make, does it? You can see each player's hand in this photo. Wow, they both have full houses. We forget there's an easy way to make a full house and go undefeated for 7 years. You cheat. The defense may cross-examine the witness. If he did cheat in the last hand, that still leaves one important question. Mr. Wright lost that hand. Who's ever heard of a professional con man losing when they cheat? Yeah, that seems rather odd. Alright. Okay, let's press. There's one I should not be pressing because I will continue it. Just how hard is it to make a full house anyway? It is quite hard, da. It is making a pair and a 3 of a kind at the same time. I guess that's right. Very difficult to be sure. You can take my word as the poker head of courtroom number 3. Very difficult, da, but it's not impossible. Okay, full houses, hard. Next line of questioning, a waste of time. Okay. 4 of each card, you say? Da! There is 1 spade, 1 diamond, 1 heart, and 1 club for each card. It is interesting fact that this number 4 comes from the number seasons. Ah, you don't say. Ah, and did you know that the cards are numbered 1 to 13? Add all the cards in the deck and you get 364 a year. Huh, you don't say. Isn't that 1 day short? That's why each deck has 2 jokers. They say the second joker stands for the leap year. I'm learning something new. I don't remember pressing this back when I did this. Thus you have a perfect representation of the year, all in a deck of cards. Huh, you don't say. We're gonna be in this courtroom for a year if it keeps going like this. Well, hey, I'm the one who pressed, so... Skipping? Do you recall what the men were arguing about? Yeah, I believe so. The victim, he shouts, "You are cheater!" And then, defendant shouts something like, "I have objection." Shouting objection, eh? Old habits are hard to break. First he bluffed his way through the courtroom, now he bluffs his way through life. Wah! However, Mr. Wright lost the hand. That seems to cast shadow of doubt on Mr. Smith. Humiliation from losing even when cheating. That is what set fire to defendant's heart. So what did the flaming defendant do next? Flaming defendant. By bottle, are you referring to this? Da, defendant uses this bottle to... Oh... This behavior is an admission of cheating by the defendant.
But why use a grape juice bottle?
You'll be surprised at what can be used as a weapon. This juice is recommended drink of Bosch Bowl Club, da? This year's vintage is remarkable for its hefty flavor.
Hefty enough to brain a grown man? Apparently.
First she says it was a serious competition, now she says was cheating.
Justice, notice anything odd? Her testimony keeps changing. Now she says the defendant cheated.
Actually, yes, I had noticed that.
Let's get the truth about this. Oops, uh-oh, screen just died on me. Let's get the truth about this cheating first, shall we?
Right, leave it to me.
Alright, now we're gonna go back and press that other statement. If you look at both men's hand.
How was it clear? Well, defendant, he played a fifth ace.
A fifth ace?
I still remember both hands very well. Mr. Smith's hand had 3 aces. And Mr. Wright's 2. Obviously, cheating was afoot, or perhaps I should say, a hand.
Your Honor, perhaps this can be added to the testimony, without Mr. Payne's joke. Very well, the witness will add this detail to our testimony, please.
Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces, Mr. Wright 2. It is 5 aces in all.
Let's look at the chip photo again.
It appears the witness is mistaken. Mistaken? But my name... Look, this piece of evidence clearly contradicts what you said in your testimony.
That's the photo of the chips, is it not? Justice, perhaps you ought to explain your point in a way that the judge can comprehend. In other words, use your finger to point out your point. Yes, please point out the contradiction in this photo. What particular point contradicts the witness's testimony? Well, where are the 3 aces? I see 2 aces.
Or really, in your testimony you made the following claim. Mr. Smith's hand has 3 aces. But as you can clearly see, the victim's hand only held 2 aces. Ah! Well, maybe the witness was simply confused. Perhaps it was the defendant's hand that held the 3rd ace in question.
He doesn't have an ace there too.
Take another look at the evidence. As you can see, the defendant also had 2 aces in his hand. Where's this 5th ace? I see cheating, alright, and it's going on right here in this courtroom.
Go, Apollo. 2 aces in each player's hand. Does that make 4 aces total? Hardly proof of cheating.
Wait, please. It is true. I have seen it. The 5th ace. There was cheating. I swear to you.
That's odd. She must be lying, yet she's the most sincere I've seen her all day. You're right to trust your instincts.
Mr. Galvin?
Who knows what lies in store for us in the trial ahead? Your Honor, if I may, I have a suggestion. What might that be, Mr. Galvin? If you don't mind, perhaps we might examine the actual cards. The cards? Mr. Payne.
Yes?
The player's hand that night was set aside as evidence, were they not? The defense would like to request that the cards be shown to the court. Very well, the prosecution will submit this evidence. Which will you examine? The victim's cards or the defendant's cards?
If these cards don't prove cheating was going on, nothing will.
Well, I guess we'll find out what these cards will show in the next video, since we are slightly out of time now. So I will see you guys in the next video.